and the reason for that would stem from like when we initially created the system, we use this for different clients. So we would want each client to have their own email. So like say if I'm running ads for a dentist in Ohio and I'm running ads for a dentist in Pennsylvania, you want those to be sending from separate addresses so that they're not getting mixed up or the replies are going to the wrong person or anything like that. So each client account, everything is segmented by client. So you can set up a different account or different email settings in the client account.
Okay.
It's like we have one for Funnelbolt support, we have one for Jordan at Funnelbolt, I have one for my agency. Like it's all separate.
So if I'm having a problem or an issue with my admin SendGrid account off the bat at the very top, but I don't have an issue with my client's email, I still can't run a campaign for my client because my admin email settings still has an issue.
No, you should be able to send. Like as
Oh, okay.
long as those email credentials are verified within the client account, you'll be able to send emails from that client account.
Okay. Can you like share a screen and show me the client a sample client account email setting that I
Yeah,
should? Yeah. All right. I appreciate that, Jordan.
yeah, no problem. So basically, uh, so I've got different clients here,
Uh,
right?
okay.
So this that is highlighted here, this client account that I'm in, so I'm in a test account now. So I'm going to go to my settings, and this is going to have like there's no email settings here because it's just a test account. So I can't send emails from this account at this point because nothing has been verified. But if I go to say this account, we've got Angel's email hooked up here, and I go to the settings, we've got SendGrid set up under his settings for this account.
Fully understand now.
Then if I go into our default account, it's the same thing. It's a different setting. So each one is verified. So when I create a new client, test two, I'm going to put I don't know what email, but whenever I'm not sure what. So within this account, I'm going to have to set those settings up again. So this is just pulling from my default account, the Twilio settings are. You can change that. I would recommend changing it. It just depends on how you want to charge the client. But the email settings, because it's SMTP specific, like you don't want to ruin a reputation for one of your clients, or a client ruin their own reputation and then it affect all of the clients within your system. So that's why the email settings are different.
Okay. I see where I went wrong. I didn't realize that you could access your client from the top right corner. I was I thought the settings over at the left hand side was that was it. That was final, and that was only for the admin
Yeah,
menu.
yeah. So this basically what you have here is you have my default account has its own system.
Right.
Everything is segmented. Contacts are segmented, and these different accounts, everything over here is segmented. The deal stages are different, the automations are different, and how you can tell. So if you go to settings here, this auth key, is going to be different for each account. So this auth key is different for these two accounts. And so what that allows us to do is I can go into Zapier, or if you're using Pabbly, I don't know if you just saw that, but we just got hooked up on their system as an automation to get things into the system. This authorization key is what, so it'll send to Funnelbolt and then it'll send to that specific account. So the auth key is unique for every client that you have.
I got you. All right.
So these settings here, and same with, so your campaigns are going to be different, your contacts are going to be different, email templates are going to be different, drip campaign, like literally everything over here is going to be different.
I understand now. Thanks a lot, Jordan.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. And don't be afraid, like if you have any other questions like that, you don't have to wait until now to ask. Like Boost Academy is a good, like the Facebook group is a good place to ask questions like that too. So.
What's going on, guys? I came in a little late. Just wanted to say hi to you guys on the call. I'm excited you guys to be here once again, another week. So once again, like, if you guys have any questions, this is the best time to ask. We can share our screen, we can share our strategies, and you asking a question, not only will it help you, but most likely others in the call and those watching the replay that can't make it, and things of that nature. So I know Charles was just asking a few questions. Did you get everything handled, Charles? All your questions are answered? You clear on like strategy and how you're going to use this and all that?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Sweet, awesome. What's going on, Tom, Carrion? Who do we have on this call? We have about 6.
This is Carrion.
How are you?
Good. I just have very basic questions.
Go for it.
Just because I'm not a member yet, but I'm looking at the program, and so very, very basic. So basically, I'm just wondering for these funnel pages, is hosting included, or is that something separate?
Yeah, hosting is included. So basically, how this is going to work, you point your A record toward our system.
Okay.
That's if you want a custom domain. If you want a .funnelbolt domain, you can do that, and just create a test project to show you how this kind of works. It'll walk you through here and ask if you have. My internet has been giving me issues, so if we have any issues, that's why. If you click domain here, so here's our landing page builder. But as far as connecting the domain, you just click on this little icon here, and it's going to ask, do you currently have a domain for your landing page? Yes or no. So if you don't have one, it's going to be yourdomain.funnelbolt.com. And it'll take care of everything, SSL, everything. It's good to go. If you have a custom domain, you basically just take this IP and point it to create an A record in your system and point it here, and it'll verify, and you're good to go.
Okay.
So you can do the same for subdomains as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then for the email automation, is that a separate charge or is that included?
It's included. So
okay.
once you plug in your SMTP settings, which we just kind of went over that, you would go to the campaign tab here, click Create Campaign, and you can create the email automations from here. So when do you want it to send? We're going to be changing the timing on this as well. So like right now it has minutes, hours, and days. We're going to change this to where you can set it like however you want. So like right now, I think this dialogue only goes to 90 days, and we're in the process now. Like we're kind of prioritizing what needs to be fixed, but This is going to be set up to where you can set it for a year, 2 years, like whatever. So relative time. So relative is going to be when the lead comes into the system, when the contact comes into the system. And you can pull those leads in directly from the landing page builder if you want. If you already have one that's working, I would recommend just using the page that's already working. But you just click the form settings here and tell it what campaign to start. And there's no campaign because I haven't saved one. Tell it what campaign to start, and it'll drop that contact right into that campaign. If you already have something set up, like say on WordPress or whatever, you would just zap. You can zap the contact in using Zapier. We just got connected with Pabbly Connect, which is basically Zapier, but it's a little cheaper, I think, per function. But this campaign is going to trigger at a relative time, so relative to when the lead comes in, or at a specific time. So if you want it to fire on, day 2 or day 90, whatever, tell it what time to go, and you're good to go. Build the email out. You can use the custom fields, and you can add as many custom fields as you want. Save it as a template, and then just keep adding to the sequence. So, and then the way that we have things set up is if somebody replies, we want it to stop. That way we can kind of take over and like give them a legitimate response. And that will apply for emails, texts, voicemails. There's really no way for us to track like a reply back on that, but it will respond. So here you can send emails, texts, voicemail. It's basically the same template. However you want it, auto stop, and take it over from there.
That's great. Last question: is there a way to import email addresses before the funnel?
Yeah. So in the drip campaign, you can just upload a CSV.
Okay.
And that will apply the contact to whatever part of your pipeline you want, and it'll pull it into the contacts. So
then we can start email automation based on that file.
Yeah. So basically, let me make sure this is right. Yeah. So we just kind of segmented this. So I took you to the drip campaign because that's how we had it before. We just added this here to where if you don't want to start a campaign, you just want to get contacts into the system, you can click right here and upload those into the system, apply them to a list or a tag or something like that, and you can fire the campaigns accordingly from there. So there's 2 ways to get them into the system. My understanding and how this has always worked is once you use the drip campaign, upon reply or anything like that is when it'll actually like pull them into the system. So that's how that will work. There was another question that someone had that kind of related to this. All of your replies. So if someone replies to an email, it's going to show up in the conversations. So you're going to get the reply in here, and this is not a good example because it doesn't have somebody replying. But all of the correspondence is going to be noted, and we use an email API to make that happen, to where they can all show up where they need to show up. And so if you look closely at the reply to, it's going to be sent to this API. But as far as your user, like the end user, whenever you set these up and it says the to and from, like that's how it's going to be displayed, if that makes sense. So the API pulls it into our system, which is where you can track all of the conversations with contacts. Someone was asking about that the other day, why it displays this different address. It displays a different address because that's how it routes it into our system. But as far as like what your contacts or what your client's contacts are seeing, it's all coming from you, if that makes sense. So however you set it up in this system right here is what's going to be displayed. So, and the reply to email is what I was describing here. So
That's great. So it looks like we could use this for like an email marketing program too, right? In addition to the funnels?
yes, yeah, you can use this for email marketing.
Great. Thank you.
The only disclaimer that I would use, or that I would say to that is, and this is the reason why we set it this way, each account, again, like you are tying your SMTP settings to that account. That way, like, because we had in the early days, how this was set up, like 2 years ago when we first started, this was all routed through our SendGrid account, and it was all routed through our Twilio account, and then we just charged like on top for that. And within a very short period of time, we had people that were taking advantage of the system and spamming a lot of people, and it hosed everybody. So we had to segment that, and that's why each account is segmented, and you have to plug in your own SMTP. So it is honestly, like, it's a little bit of a hassle getting these emails verified and stuff, but in the long run, like, it's just a much better solution. So.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Also, to add to that, Karian, there's two ways to use the email stuff. The first way is for automation, like follow-up. So for example, if you have like a lead gen campaign and someone opts into your funnel, right? The emails can be set up as a follow-up campaign to get them to respond. So an example of this is like, let's say you're selling a free massage offer for a massage client, and, someone opts in for that offer. The emails and the text messages can be set as a follow-up campaign to get them to respond. So in the example of, like, let's say, hey, so-and-so just got your request on a free massage. Somebody from our team will call you here in the next 10 minutes to confirm your appointment and schedule you in. I'm looking forward to speaking to you, right? And let's say they didn't answer that, they didn't respond to that message, then you would leverage the fact that if they don't reply, you send them this next message and this next message. So that's way number one to use the email thing, where it's a follow-up campaign in order to get a response. Like, that's the intention. Now, right. The other option is a nurture campaign. So let's say, for example, and I apologize, you can probably hear my dog. But the next example is, let's say, a nurture campaign. So let's just say, for example, you have a coaching program of some sort, and they opt into your list, right? You can send them an email every couple days to keep them in the loop, right? Whether you're sending them an email campaign that you've built that might extend to 90 days, and within that is just layering value of different sorts. Hey, here's a student that we worked with and we got them this type of result. Hey, this is what we do. Here's our benefit. Here's another benefit. Hey, here's this awesome tool that we use. Just added value, right? I'm sure you subscribe to tons of email lists where you're getting emails with actually no intention of getting a response or not. They're just sending you different offers or giving you different value or this and that, right? Just nurturing. And, that's another way that you would use it, but you wouldn't toggle the, stop campaign if response, because you care for them to still get all those emails that you've set up, because, it is a nurture campaign. It's not meant to stop if they reply. If they reply, great, that's good for you, but you still want them to get these other emails because it's a nurture campaign. You know what I mean? So
right.
There's two ways to use it, right? And then the second way, you can even offer it as a service. Like you mentioned, hey, can I use this as like an email service? I mean, you can. And a way you could do that is, let's say you specialize in one niche, let's say real estate, and you put your time, effort, and energy to create this campaign, this awesome automation campaign for real estate agents. You can go into a real estate broker's office and say, hey, I specialize in getting more productive, getting more productivity from your pipeline by, applying these automations to get these conversations started for you to set the appointments up for your real estate agents. And it's an all automated system It's proven, and we can plug right into your current CRM and apply these automations to get and facilitate this for your real estate agents, saving you a ton of time, money, and labor, right? And not only that, but it's going to get you a better result because the speed to lead is there. If you have a real estate agent who's out on the field showing a home and a new lead comes in, the chances of them reaching out to that lead in a short period of time are very slim, which is where you would come in. You say, hey, look, I offer a virtual front desk, basically, where we come in, plug into your business, and we basically start rolling out that red carpet for your customers,
Right.
from the second they tap in, bam. And so you can become, if you really want to, let's say lead gen is not your forte, or it might be, who knows? But if it wasn't, this is for someone, let's say, who's never ran an ad or anything. Like, you can literally be a specialist in back-end automation. You see, and you can come into a business and offer that as a service. And you might even possibly, if you really want to, since you guys have a Funnelbolt account, you guys can even offer a free trial. It's like, look, I'll do this for you for a week, right? We'll plug into your current system, and you can even, right? Let's say you want to does everybody here drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever heard of what a reactivation campaign is? Drop a 1 in the chat if you've heard that before. Drop a 2 in the chat if you've never heard of that before. Tom says 1 in the chat. Drew says 2. Charles says 2. Okay, so for those who have never heard this, Karen says 2. Okay, so for those who have never heard this is going to be a massive, massive tip and golden nugget for you guys, okay? So reactivation campaign, all that is basically you going up to a business, and typically they have a database. So usually when you go to a business, they usually have 2 types of list. They have a buyer's list, and then they have a non-buyer's list, right? So usually a proper organization who has proper segmentation and structure will usually have these split up. So for example, at Funnelbolt, we have our buyers. Those have exchanged money to us, and they're in a specific list. So now, if we want to sell them something else, we know who we have their credit cards. I mean, it's data is there for that. Then we also have a list of individuals in Funnelbolt users who haven't bought anything, right? And they're just on a free account, for example. So what we can do, right, for the list that hasn't bought anything, is what we could do is called a reactivation campaign, where we can create an offer that's irresistible, that's super good, that we can send them to basically reactivate them and get them back into our pipeline to sell them that thing. So for example, let's say you go to a massage again, the massage parlor, and you've been running Facebook ads for this company, and, there's a percentage of those leads that turn into buyers for a massage. And then there's a percentage of leads that get the offer, but don't come in, don't schedule an appointment, and just have a coupon in their inbox that they haven't used, right? So, over time, that lead doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a good lead. It just means that right now is not a good time for them. They might have gotten busy, family, etc. So time passes, everybody's attention spans is smaller than a goldfish at this point, right? They're getting distracted left and right. So if you just let some time pass, they're going to completely forget about that offer. So now here comes, let's say 30 days down the line, 60 days, 90 days, there's this list of people that just keeps accumulating. And most businesses have it wrong because they're thinking about how to acquire new customers versus how to convert those that have already expressed interest in their offer, right? They're always thinking about new versus cultivating those that have already raised their hand. And so tons of businesses have these lists just accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. And so you can come in and say, hey, look, how long have you been in business for? Usually if they've been in business for over about a year, they usually have a pretty substantial database built up. And so when you come in, you say, hey, well, it sounds like if you've been in business for about a year or so or longer, you probably have a database of about 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 people of non-buyers. Is that correct? And they'll tell you, right? And so that's your qualifier. And what happens is if you take that list, you say, oh, awesome. We specialize in turning that list into buyers, without any ad spend. You can literally generate appointments like this, if you put them into a reactivation campaign. And so what you would do is you would come into Funnelbolt, create a new campaign. Let's say the new offer of the month is, you get a free massage on us. Shoot, that's better than nothing, right? Because if you can get them in the door, right, now you can sell them after they get their massage and they feel like wibbly dibbly, right? Because they just got a massage. Like Jordan gets a massage every other day. That's why he's so relaxed on these calls. So, that's a way to get them in the door. And then once they feel good, they sell them on their packages and all the other services that they may offer inside. But think about that. If you got a text message, let's say you expressed interest 3 months ago to
Uh-oh. Is it my internet or is it Angel's internet?
the emails.
Yeah.
So as in like after you set them up, how do they look when you send them out type thing?
Yeah. Can they look, aesthetically pleasing with images, or are they very
Gotcha.
like text-based? Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So depending on what your intention is, so when it comes to nurturing campaigns, as in like they've opted in and then you're going out and sending out those follow-up emails, you can technically send anything you want as long as you're whitelisted. And what I mean by that is if you're sending a cold email with a bunch of images and all this fancy stuff, you're not going to get into the inbox of the recipient that you're sending to because you're going to be considered spam. So if you're doing follow-ups, then yeah, you can modify those emails. And Jordan, with the email center that we have, you can do HTML emails, correct? Yeah. So Jordan's muted, but what that means, Karian, is that if you have, so you can go on Fiverr and stuff like that. And what an HTML email is an email made with code, but they're able to create like an aesthetically pleasing email so that you can send it and have your like branding and your colors and things like that. But it's coded, okay? Meaning it's created in a way that it's going to kind of go past the spam filters because it's essentially sending it as, it's like text. So the best emails are text-based. They don't have images, they don't have links, they don't have any of that stuff because all those things they're negative towards your reputation score. And so after they've opted in, so let's say you have a landing page and then they opt in, then you can send the links, then you can send the stuff, then you can send the images if you want. Because at that point you're whitelisted and you don't have to earn, to get into their inbox. So that's kind of, once you get a reply from your client or from the prospect, you're automatically whitelisted. And then at that point, you can send your links, you could send your website pages, you could send whatever you want. But even in your signatures, right, when you're sending emails, you don't want to have any links in there because it's going to sacrifice your reputation score.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No worries. We got any other questions? Do we have questions, Linda, Drew, Charles?
Actually, I do.
What's going on?
The deals section on this platform, what is that all about?
Great question. That's where we close deals. That's where the money's made. That's where the magic happens. So, Jordan, you want to share your screen real quick and just jump in there? And so we could I guess we can jump into contractor solutions and then we can kind of just 10,000 foot view flow through that pipeline with Charles.
Yeah. Can you, I made you host in case I lose my internet again.
All right, go for it.
So, all right.
Charles, and what are you using? So give me a little bit of background about your business. Like who do you serve and what are you using Funnelbolt for?
Oh, actually I'm with Tom Cos.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even put 1 and 2 together. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize Tom left, but okay. So
Yeah.
the CRM, go for it, Jordan.
Yeah. Basically, so this is like you can automate certain campaigns to fire at specific times depending on where contacts are at in your pipeline. So everyone's pipeline is different. So you create your own pipeline depending on how a business works. Or if you're working for other businesses, just ask them, hey, from the time a lead comes in to the time that we are collecting the check and it is a closed deal, we have this, these stages within our pipeline. So your deals section should mirror that of the business pipeline. So we have one here that is, this is a live pipeline that we've used for a long time. And we have a lead coming in from manual input. So if we have people either reaching out to us or we are doing outbound calling or something like that, we will enter contacts into this part of the pipeline. And to do that, we would just hit add deal, and you can add the contact manually. And of course, we have all these custom fields here to where we kind of know where they're at and how to kind of screen those contacts. And each part of the deal stage is different. For paid ads, when we're running paid traffic, here they come into this part of the deal stage. And the reason for that is they're getting different, we send different campaigns for different contact points. So within the settings of the deal stage, we have this campaign firing at this point. We have this campaign firing at this point. And so each one is getting a different campaign. So when you go into our campaign tab, we have all of these campaigns set. And this is generally how we name the campaigns, just so we know, like in our pipeline, okay, assign this campaign. And as soon as the contact hits that part of your pipeline, we are constantly communicating with them, and the communication is targeted. So like it means something. Like it doesn't, like if I just create one campaign that has all of these different messages in them, like they're not relevant. So we create different campaigns that are relevant to where the contact is in our pipeline. So
yeah, so based on the stage of the pipeline. So for example, if you move them, go over back to the deal stage real quick. So a very basic pipeline would be, for example, after they close, scroll to the right, Jordan, of the pipeline where like the closed deal section is. So you see where it says close, Charles? Typically, right, when you close a deal, right, most people either send out an agreement after you collect the credit card or an onboarding doc, for example, right? So let's just say I get off of the phone, I'm on a demo with a client, and I close the deal, right? Then what I would do is I would come in my pipeline, and then I would go and grab, let's say, so if I'm on the phone with somebody, that might mean that they're probably in the, in the qualified appointment set for close stage. So you see that deal stage, qualified and appointment set for close, they're in that stage if there's an appointment on our calendar. So all those people, right, are on our calendar to speak to us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'll be speaking to, let's say, Juan Gonzalez. I'm speaking to Juan Gonzalez. I see that call on my calendar. I'm talking to him. I close the deal and I collect the credit card. I got all that stuff done. And let's say I tell him, okay, Juan, next steps are I'm going to send you some onboarding docs, and I'm going to send you an email that's going to go over a few different things that I need from you, as well as give you access to X, Y, and Z. And there'll also be a link in there to schedule our kickoff call, for example, right? And so now all I have to do is go and take Juan Gonzalez over from that deal stage that we were just talking about over to closed call or closed deal, right? And right when I move them over, automatically, guess what's going to happen? It's going to automatically send that email with all those customized things that I mentioned on autopilot. So before I move them and drag them over to that deal stage, I'm going to go over to campaigns in my Funnelbolt account, and I'm going to create a campaign that I want to fire when I drag Juan Gonzalez over to deal close. So whether that's sending them an onboarding doc, whether that's adding them to a Google sheet, whether that's taking that contact and sending them a personalized text message that says, hey, Juan, congratulations on joining our program. We're looking forward to working with you. Here's a link to our kickoff call. Whatever that set of automations is for you, it could even be a ringless voicemail, right, from your growth advisor team. Whatever that might be, when you drag them over, it triggers that automation. And this allows you to streamline your process. So similarly, if a new lead comes in, you know, the trigger might be, hey, we just received your contact information. Looking forward to speaking to you. You know, you might even want to send them, fill out this form so that when we do speak to you, we have information and we can speed up the call so we can get the most out of it. That might be a thing that you do there, right? And then once you get on that call, then you would drag them over based on the results of that call. So whether they were not interested, whether they need more time, whether they closed, whether they scheduled an appointment, whatever that deal is, you know, you would want to, like Jordan said, like zoom out and figure out, okay, what's the stages of my pipeline? And what do I want to do within each stage of that pipeline to kind of roll out that red carpet where there's no gap, like there's no space of time that allows someone to think themselves out of it, right? So that's kind of the intention here. It's like, how can I fill up the time between the lead coming into my world and the lead buying from me? How can I deliver in between all that time up until they close the deal, right? And within all that time, it might be me sending them testimonials, videos, links, all types of stuff to get them nurtured. So by the time I close them, by the time I actually speak to them, they've consumed content of different sorts, and they've jumped into, let's say, our Facebook group. For example, I'm just giving you different ideas, but by the time I do talk to them, there's been so many touch points already, and I haven't done a thing. By the time I talk to them, they're already they're like really hot and they're ready to close. Does that make sense? Drop a 1 if that makes sense. And I think a question came in.
Definitely makes sense. Yes. Okay.
Awesome.
So on the deal section, to move a contact from one deal to another is manual. Is there no automation for when we get new leads that come in? Do they just pop up in the new lead module of the
Great.
deal?
Yeah, great question. So you can either manual input, like Jordan said before, or you can trigger an automation to happen, whether it's from a Funnelbolt landing page that you create, whether it's from a WordPress that you create, whether it's a ClickFunnels funnel that you create. As long as you can integrate that software into Zapier or Pabbly or whatever it's called, you'd be able to import that into Funnelbolt and then trigger whatever you want. Now, the second question that you had is, can I move someone's deal stage without manually doing it? 100% yes, you can. You would trigger that in Zapier, right? And basically tell Zapier, when this action happens, I want you to move this person into this deal stage, right? And that might be, let's say an example of that might be when someone books an appointment in Calendly with my team, I want that person to move to the booked appointment deal stage in Funnelbolt.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. So basically what ends up happening, number one, you have to make sure the contact gets into the system. So once the contact is into the system is going to reference that contact by their name and their email. And then what you can do is you can have it trigger to move whatever stage. And so the way this works, and it's kind of twofold. So you can see like the trigger that I have here. Basically, with Pabbly or Zapier, it all works based off of triggers. So it's if this happens, then do that. So the if is a contact generated or does an action take place? Then when you get into our Zapier app.
Yo, Jordan, you literally froze. I started your conversation and then you just jumped in when you unfroze, and it was like I said the first part that we couldn't hear and then you continued. But just start. Yeah, I can hear you now. Just restart from basically explaining what we're seeing on the screen.
Oh my gosh. So I'm running tethered off of my cell phone right now. So
oh, no way. No wonder, bro.
Anyway, so Zapier and Pabbly work the same way. It's all if then. So your trigger is does a calendar action take place? Does a contact get moved to Google Sheets? Like whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If an action takes place and you want them to, that means an advancement in your pipeline. You just have them move the deal stage. So you would click the app, and where you get the app is in the settings here. Down here, where are we at? Right here. So connect Funnelbolt with Zapier. Click here. What that'll do is it'll send the app into your Zapier account.
Right.
Because we haven't finished doing all that we want to do before we like approve it. So Funnelbolt upgraded 1.0 right here. So you've got move deal stage, or you can have it push the lead. So push the lead means wherever you're getting the lead from, whatever landing page or Facebook lead ads or whatever, you can have it push the lead to your account. And you can have it move the deal stage. Then all you do is you reference that contact that you're getting from the trigger, you reference that contact, and then you go back into your pipeline, and all you need to do is take the deal stage, copy it, go back in here and paste it. And that's going to move the deal stage. And it's also going to move all the relevant information with it. So that's how that works. So then where this becomes really powerful is within the deal, you can have it. So let's just create a new deal stage. So call this a test deal stage. Okay, now I want it to start this campaign when someone is in this part of the deal stage. So then what I do is in Zapier, I have it trigger to move the deal stage. And then as soon as it hits, it's going to fire this campaign that I already started. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So something
for this
else,
to work, for this to work, Charles, is you got to make sure you're also you built the campaign before you set this up.
Yeah.
So essentially, prepare before you execute. Prepare the campaigns before you even start sending anything or triggering anything, so that it just makes it super easy to set up. So just look at your pipeline from a 10,000 foot view. Build out the different follow-up sequences that you want to trigger based on that deal stage, and then work out the logistics as to what you want to trigger when type deal, just to make it super easy for you to just execute.
Yep.
I got you. All right.
And
All right.
if you understand webhooks and you can also send this webhook URL to any other system. So basically, once action in Funnelbolt takes place, now do this. So you can put that thing right here. That way you don't have to use Zapier if you don't want to. Like, say you want to update a sheet in Google Sheets, or update a row or something like that. Like I'm struggling for a good reference here. But you can put that URL here, and it'll also trigger whatever action somewhere else.
I think Zapier is just the third grade level of doing webhooks.
Yeah.
Right. Zapier does it for you by just clicking the logo and picking like A or B type thing. Webhooks is just more like the developer's version of sending
Zapier.
a Zapier trigger. Yeah. So don't get too confused on it. If you can, make the investment into Zapier or Pabbly or whatever it's called. I've personally never used Pabbly myself. Zapier has been what I've been using for like the last probably 6 years now. And it's just super simple. Once you've set up one or two integrations, your brain starts to think differently of how far you can take this thing. And it's insane. Once you get used to this, the integrations, you got to get through it one time before you're an expert at it. Because all of it is the same. It's just finding what's that trigger, what's going to initiate the trigger, and like Jordan said, the if and then. So when that thing happens, what do you want to happen? Whether it's add it to a Google Sheet, or change the deal stage, or send an email, or send me a text message, or Send the client a text message. Whatever that thing is, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just finding the source of the data and then telling that data where to go. So I wouldn't get too boggled down with the webhooks. If you guys can afford if you want to afford the headache and the stress from a webhook, just go buy Zapier. Okay. Yeah. It's not going to be, it's not going to be that crazy.
Yeah. So we had two more questions from I'll answer Drew's, and then Lydia, I'll come back to yours because we're kind of on this topic. As far as multiple pipelines per client, I guess I don't understand why you would want different pipelines per client, because every client.
Well, let's ask Drew. Drew, you want to unmute yourself and talk about kind of what your use case is and what you're trying to do? See if there's another way or possibly an alternative solution for now.
Yeah, I could definitely, do it an alternative way with kind of doing clients and just segment them, per client, per deal or whatever. But I'm more B2B than B2C, and so I would have maybe I'm selling different product lines to the same client, and so I want to basically track, follow through where I am, in each stage. So if I'm selling, a $3,000 managed service package or something like that to them per month, that's one deal package. And then on top of that, then I have add-ons that come in. And I want to keep track. So my pipeline doesn't look as long as, that pipeline you guys showed us did look, if I want to have a VA that comes in and says, you're in charge of handling this pipeline. And I have another VA that comes in and says, you do this pipeline. So they're not looking at the entire, 30 sequences or deals inside the pipeline. But,
so by pipeline, you mean products, because you're selling different products, right?
Correct.
Now, let me ask you this. When you sell different products, are you selling the products to the same individuals in a sequential order, as in like first product, and then 30 days later, they get another email with a different product? Are you sending it from the same sender, same company, different products over a period of time? Or are you sending it from a different company, different source to the same company with a different product? Did that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, same company. So I go through seasons. I'm actually in small business IT. And so I go through seasons where, maybe this quarter my push is Microsoft 365. And so I'm going to hit the Microsoft 365 sales pipeline for anybody that's not already on 365. The next quarter, I may then switch up and do something with, like, let's say, cloud backup product that I have for these clients. And if you don't own that product, then I'm going to hit everybody that doesn't own that product through that pipeline again and work them through there. But like I said, in your system, I would just set up and segment a client. So I would say
correct.
Client
Yeah. So that's the way I would do it, where if you want to segment them and if you're doing them quarterly, it'd probably also be the best way to do it, just to kind of keep yourself organized. But yeah, rather than clients, I would look at the clients as products, and then assign the sales individuals to that pipeline or to that client account, product account, and then just run it that way. And I think that's going to allow you to keep yourself organized and keep a pulse of where everyone's at in your pipeline.
Awesome. Yep. I agree.
Sweet. Yeah. And I think also too, even if there were a multiple pipeline option, I think it would become confusing as far as like accessibility and user, giving someone permissions to this, not that. I think it just makes it so much easier if you have like it completely separated, where all the things within that account are different, because your campaigns are going to be different for this product than the other product. Text messages are going to be different. Voicemail drops are going to be different. If you're creating landing page specifically for products, you just kind of want to keep it all kind of segmented and almost make them almost like little mini brands within your company. And then just assign specialists to each of those.
Yep, makes sense. So yeah, so I will be looking at clients as products essentially, since I'm the only the primary company, and then selling on that. Makes sense.
Perfect. Yeah. And we just added, by the way, Drew, the user. So you can add your team and give them permissions, specific permissions. We just came out with that update just this week. So when you share your account, you can give your team specific permissions and specific accesses to your pipelines. Or product client accounts, so that they can log in with their own username and pass and only see that permission. So whatever you decide here, you'll be able to give them that permission so that they can just log in and just work that pipeline that you assign them to.
Yeah, I actually saw that on Facebook. That's actually what's bringing me back in, because I have guys in Venezuela that work for me, and that's perfect. Like I said, if I focus them on one thing, Microsoft 365,
Correct.
cloud backup, that's perfect. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep. Yeah, this was a big request here, and like Jordan said, we have a ton of stuff that we're seeing as people are continuing to use it. We've grown exponentially in just the last like 60 days. And so through that journey, we're seeing things that we personally, as you can see, we showed you a working pipeline that we're working. And so we've been using it, and we've been running a ton of ad spend towards Funnelbolt, right? And so we can only see what we can see, and how we use it is how we use it. And so when everyone else is using it for their own specific use cases, we're seeing like there's a bunch of opportunity in ways that we didn't even see. So that's why we really, we do these calls every week, because every week we learn something from you guys. Move the needle quickly for you guys, because we're hearing you guys, and the louder you guys speak, the more priority we can put on certain things based on the needs of what you guys are looking for. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's perfect. You guys are doing great. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions? Jordan, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so Lydia was asking about the Bolt packages.
Okay.
Basically, that is exclusively for voicemail credits. So if you are going to send a voicemail, you need to purchase credits to send a voicemail. So the way that we have this set up, there's basically two different systems on the back end, and you'll see it says SMS, voicemail, and voice call credits. And we set this up before we were having people assign their Twilio accounts. So this would be like if you want to come in and just use our Twilio account, that's how the credits would work. Since you are plugging your Twilio account in, the only thing that this would apply to is voicemail. So if you're sending voicemail, there's a cost to do that. We're not marking it up like crazy. It is what it is. So if you're using voicemails, you would need to purchase these to send voicemails or include them in your campaigns. So at this point, it's going to let you build a campaign with the ability to do voicemail, but it's just not going to send unless you have the credits to account for it. So hopefully that makes sense.
And one thing to add to the Bolt credits side of things is that they don't expire. So I know there's a lot of companies out there that you'll buy, let's say, 100 credits, and you may have just bought it just to kind of have it so you could set up the campaigns and start preparing everything, right? But let's say you don't use it within the 30 days. There's companies that literally wipe your credits clean. And they kind of hold you hostage, because what they do is, they'll tell you, if you quit or if you stop paying us monthly, you're going to lose all your credits. And you could have been paying, reoccurring $20 a month or whatever it is, accumulating those credits, and then you lose them all if you discontinue with us. You buy your credits, you keep them. I mean, hopefully you use them, but like they won't expire. So if you use them in a year from now, you'll still have your credits if you haven't used them, and they won't expire. So that's a huge perk. I've used hundreds of softwares myself, and 9 out of 10 of them hold you hostage and either take your credits away if you don't use them in 30 days or wipe all your credits clean if you discontinue. So just a heads up there. So if you want to save some money on your credits, and because your intention is to send a bunch of campaigns over a period of time, you can save some money on the higher packages if you want to send voicemails alongside your text and emails. But like Jordan said, as long as you're connected with the SendGrid account and Twilio, you would just essentially pay them for whatever you send. So with SendGrid, you're capped at about 100 emails a month, by the way, unless you upgrade your SendGrid account. which is like $14 a month or something like that. And that will give you the capacity of sending 10,000 emails a month if you want, depending on your goals. Because the way the emails are sent, it's sent from SendGrid. That is your server, okay? When you send from Gmail directly, like Gmail to Gmail, you're sending from Gmail servers, right? Here, we're connecting to SendGrid. We're sending from their servers. So that's how you're able to start with a high reputation score. You get assigned a reputation score when you create your account. If you upgrade your account to the $15 a month one, you'll be able to send up to 10,000 emails from like one account. If that's your goal, obviously I don't expect you to do that, but what this allows you to do is it's 10,000 emails across the span of your account. So if you have multiple clients, right, and you're wanting to use Funnelbolt, in SendGrid, you can add an API key and use that same SendGrid account across all your clients. Drop a 1 if that makes sense. And if you need me to re-explain that, drop a 2. But
you can also connect Gmail here too. So it doesn't have to just be
correct.
SendGrid. You can connect whatever you want.
And that's contingent on what your goals are, right? If you're sending, like, because with Gmail, you have a cap. You know, with a brand new account, you can only send about 30 to 40 emails, you know, in a single day before you get blocked and blacklisted. So based on your goals, if your goals are to send, you know, let's say you're about to upload a massive list, let's say 1,000, 2,000 contacts into Funnelbolt or more, right? Gmail is not going to be able to won't be able to send that. It won't be enough to send those 2,000 emails if you're planning on sending them all at once. So you would need a SendGrid account for that. You would need to upgrade your SendGrid account so you can send up to 10,000, and then you'll be set up for success. You'll be able to send as many emails as you want, as long as you're not spamming, which is why we don't recommend that you use Funnelbolt for cold emailing, right? Because if you're using your SendGrid account across all your clients as follow-up campaigns, you don't want to ruin your reputation by spamming and getting blacklisted and, you know, sending a bunch of emails that will bounce. So that's why Funnelbolt, we recommend you use it for nurturing and, you know, appointment setting follow-up. Cold emailing, we recommend a completely different tool. We can get into that in a different time, but Funnelbolt, follow-up, and nurture campaigns is what we're good at and what we recommend that we use it for. And if you use SendGrid for the integration, then you should be able to set up for yourself for success across the rest of your clients that you have.
Does anybody have any other questions before we head out?
Any last questions, Drew, Linda, Charles?
I think that's it.
No, that's it.
Awesome, guys. Awesome, guys. Well, we look forward to seeing you guys on our next call next Wednesday. So we're doing these every single Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. EST. So mark this in your calendars. If you're watching the replay, mark that in your calendars so that you could show up live to ask your questions. If you can't make it sometime next week, drop your questions in the post that we make every week. And once again, if you're not in the live training portal, you know, make sure you're in that because we post the recordings in that training portal. So we do this for you guys. We appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you guys on our next one next week.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take it easy, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.